So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce the panel to you. All right, so Anushka Soma-Patel is going to be moderating. So Anushka, could you pop up here? Come and say, how's it?
How's
and
it?
Hello, hello, hello. We also have, of course, Hendrik Viljoen, a.k.a. world-renowned Portchie. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
And then Craig Chitima is Craig. Has Craig arrived?
Yes.
I'm sure we have Craig. Of course, Stephen Young here with us as well, CEO and co-founder of NFTfi. Got it right, eh?
Got it right.
I'm sure they call it some other things too, Nifty and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
No, I won't. And then we have Yaliwe Soko. Hey, Craig, are you here, man? We thought we lost you there earlier. Party must have been good, huh?
Yeah, it's all good.
No, nothing wrong with that. Okay, I'm going to hand you over to our moderator.
Thanks, Kino. Hi, everyone. It's so amazing being here today and seeing all the excitement and enthusiasm. We've also got the whales going on here, so it's got to mean something for crypto, right? So super exciting day, beautiful day here in Cape Town. So my name is Anushka Soma-Patel. I'm currently working for Input Output Hong Kong, which is the development team for the Cardano blockchain. I'm also the co-MD for Girls in Tech South Africa. And at the moment, we're trying to focus a little bit on Web3 and getting our members more educated in the Web3 space. So look out for our posts on LinkedIn. But I'm totally excited today to be on a panel with such amazing people. I'll go through each person and ask you your questions. And then we will open the floor up to questions as well, because we'd like to make this interactive, and I'm sure you have more questions than I have, I assume. So let's get going. I thought we'll pick on Craig initially. Craig is our 3D NFT artist on the panel. And Craig, I've had a look at some of your work on the internet, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. So well done. Really fascinating. I'd like you to tell the audience more about what it is you're doing, what you're involved in, and what do you think the impact on NFTs is for musicians and artists?
Okay, thank you very much, Anushka. Hi, everyone. Hope you guys are doing good. My name is Craig. I'm a 3D artist, and I make NFTs. My first exposure was about 2 years back, and my exposure was being a 3D artist, making collections for people. So basically, most of that was like leading down to creating different trades as a 3D artist for NFTs. And at the time, I never knew what's happening. Like, I never knew it was just like all gibberish and like hard to understand. But obviously, going through and running down and like rendering and doing all these 3D models for the different collections, I managed to figure out. So what it is that I'm doing, I took that and changed it up and decided, well, given the fact that things that go on the blockchain are immutable, that's an opportunity for digital artists like myself, being Afrocentric, to preserve African culture. Okay. So I make superheroes, characters, and like 3D art pieces based off African heritage. And I'm currently working on a project right now that seeks to incentivize and like help preserve culture through creating dope music, you know, fashion, art, and we do regular drops with my community currently. So yeah, that's what I'm up to right now.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Craig. I think our next panelist is Hendrik, better known as Portchie, famous artist, world-renowned. And what's so fascinating is to see how Portchie has taken his physical art and converted this into generative NFT art, which is totally fascinating. You will see some of Portchie's work in the foyer, so please go around and have a look. Portchie, tell us, how did you get into the NFT space with your art? What was your journey like?
Well, a friend of mine, Constant, he came to me and he said, don't I want to work together with him and another friend in producing NFTs. I didn't know what it was. So he explained to me and I could grasp it immediately. I could see how my images, I work a lot of simple things in life. I come from a very small town in the Free State. And so I work often with people cycling, flying kites, playing simple games, making music, things that you sort of know since young age. And so I could see how it could grasp a community, and because I had a countrywide follow and also a universal follow, because I had plenty of international exhibitions, I could see that there's a market for it, and how to introduce something new to the art community and art public. So not taking something away, but adding something. And I felt very privileged to be part of something new, and you are in the now, and you're current, and you are there, and people know that you are in the art space. And so I thought it makes sense to me.
Okay, and so if anybody here wants to buy a piece of your art, like, how does that work? How does this NFT and physical art come together?
Well, at first we put it out, and we have a list of people who are interested. Often it's from my old clients and some new clients that we picked up along the line. And then they could buy some cryptocurrency, Ethereum, and then go to OpenSea and then buy, actually mint their own NFT, which everyone is individual, everyone is different. So we minted 1,000 pieces, and people had a very good experience from that. And we gave a print to everyone who minted the NFT. They got a big print from one of my works, or one of the images that they bought. And then afterwards we also thought we want to give them a fantastic experience with the whole thing, and then gave them a few extras. So I think get them on board on a journey with you, and hopefully in the next NFT that we roll out, they will come again, and then eventually build up a collection of your different images that they can purchase from you. And because, I work with joy a lot, and joy, everybody needs a bit of joy in their life, and people need something beautiful to look at. So today's space, the young people, they stay in much smaller spaces, so they don't have all the space from the old big houses, so they run it on their TVs or on the small screen on the desk. They put it in the Metaverse in the apartment or in the entrance of the building. If they have a lot of NFTs, they open a gallery in the Metaverse. They can sell it. You can go to any OpenSea, you can resell. So there's some excitement in the whole process. And I think it is a journey. It's very new, it's very recent. We don't know where it will end, but definitely it's out there, and the world is changing rapidly. And if you don't join, you will just stay behind.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what I totally love about what Portchie and his team are doing is they're not just creating an NFT and minting it and trying to put it on OpenSea and praying like hell it sells. They're actually creating an experience around this NFT collection.
Definitely.
So that's really amazing.
Yes.
Have you also been creating experiences around your NFT collection?
Yes, so I currently have a Metaverse space that's Afrocentric. We have some NFTs up in the space as well, and do community meetups in the Metaverse on Spatial. So that's pretty, you have to create the experience for people, because it's more than just minting. It's culture.
Okay.
And, I'm personally a gamer and a young person myself, and how I got into the NFT space was through just practicing the culture. The good morning culture, greeting each other on Twitter every single time, Twitter raids, getting on Discord, chatting with friends, bragging about our PFPs that we own and stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, it was more about the experience, and I do create experiences specifically in the look at me losing it there. Specifically in the Metaverse.
Okay.
But also, fashion experiences and giving African art a twist so that it's more modern and digital as opposed to the more traditional forms of the art that we get.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that's our two artists on the panel. Totally fascinating. Thank you. And then we get to Yaliwe, who's a powerhouse, I hear, and the chair of the United Africa Blockchain Association. So I'm hearing that Yaliwe is doing amazing work in this space. So tell us more about the work that you're doing and about the United Africa Blockchain Association.
All right, thanks for having me. So I'm Yaliwe Soko, and I chair the United Africa Blockchain Association. I'm glad that people are saying I'm doing amazing work, but I think it's more about educating people and really reaching out to the people that don't want to hear about blockchain and crypto and bringing them to the party. So UABA was formulated in 2019, and our main mandate was education, education, and education, but we started really moving towards what do we do after that, and that was skills development, right? And really bringing blockchain into practice and use cases, but also bringing about employment opportunities, but at the end of it all, how do we alleviate poverty in Africa? And we came up with some initiatives. Our first one was 1 million in blockchain in Africa. Very ambitious, but it was about reaching and teaching 1 million people in blockchain in Africa, and we had this model of saying we educate 10 people to reach 100. Right? So it's a 1 by 10 metrics. You come to our courses, we offer you free courses, but go reach out to your communities and speak about blockchain and crypto, and we go through our classroom portal, and you report back to us and give us names of people that are interested in taking our courses. And we also started pushing towards working with African governments, which hasn't been the easiest, but it also has been very fruitful. So this year already, we managed to get at least 2 governments that were very strict when it came to crypto. That is the Zambian government and the Ugandan government. So we had actually a request from the president of Uganda for us to write a paper on how blockchain can benefit their country. And in Zambia, we managed to do some pilot projects on blockchain for social good, and that was a mandate in partnership with the Ministry of Tech and Science. So like I said, our goal was to reach out to 2 types of people. The community, educate them, and to talk to the people who don't want to hear about what we're talking about and say, look, this can actually change the state of things within the country. And just going back to NFTs, so if I go back, during our time that we've been spending in Zambia, we've managed to come up with the very first NFT bar. And we're calling it the NFT bar because this is where art meets the people. And we're bringing local artists and saying we want to teach local artists how to mint an NFT and how to showcase their art to the global stage, but also bringing the locals, the decision makers, the regulators, and say, this is what it can do for local artists. We don't want to see them only displaying their art in the streets, but they can actually find a very different market out there.
Fantastic. That's great work being done. I can see some collaboration opportunities going on here.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Yaliwe. That's great work that you're doing. How many people have you managed to get to out of your target of 1 million?
So I think, like in person, we've educated more than 3,000. So 3,000 by 10, I think we've reached about 300 and something. So we're getting there. 350 or 340,000 people if we use our train-the-trainer model.
Okay.
And these are free courses, so it makes so much sense to the people.
Okay, fantastic. So please hook up with Yaliwe to get her to 1 million trained ASAP. Fantastic. Our next person on the panel is Stephen Young. Stephen has created NFTfi. I think you're the CEO of NFTfi. And for me, NFTfi was a new word that I learned yesterday, so thank you for the learning opportunity. I've heard of DeFi, and I was like, how is NFTfi different? So Stephen and his team has created a platform where you can use your NFTs as collateral for loans. But I'm going to let Stephen tell you more about what he's doing and what opportunity this poses for musicians and artists in the NFT space.
Yeah, sure. So, so like you said, our platform is a platform where you can use your NFT. You list it on our platform, people then make offers, and you can get a loan. So we've done around $260 million in loans in the last 2 years or so, and the market's continuing growing even in this down market. And really what this kind of speaks to a little bit is that, up until now, we've really had cryptocurrencies, and that's internet native money. And in my mind, NFTs are internet native property rights. You can own something natively digital. And now for the first time, you have this combination of digitally native money and digitally native things that you want to own. And I think for people in Africa and other places that are not, like right at the center of like the global commerce as the current system is kind of set up, this new world of like a fully digital internet native economy that is kind of self-contained all of a sudden allows you to partake in that completely on like an even footing with everybody else, so our company, for example, I raised all of our money from American VCs while sitting at home in lockdown in Cape Town, and I just did it over Skype. And like there's no issue anymore about, okay, you're not in New York, you're not in San Francisco. A lot of the teams are all over the world. So I really think it is this new leveling of the playing field, and we should just, it's so new that nobody's really an expert, and anyone can really like dive in full on, and you can become one of the kind of leading people in the industry, I think.
Absolutely. Thanks, Stephen. So, I think that all of you have managed to get into the NFT space and into the crypto space. And if you look at new people coming into the space, I don't think it's absolutely easy to get involved. But, what's the quickest way for someone new to enter the space and to start participating? And in the meantime, if there are any questions in the audience, please raise your hand so that we can get the mic to you.
Oh, was it me? Sorry.
Can I go for that as well?
Yeah. Yes, you can.
I think first you need to decide whether you're going to be an investor or a creator. So actually before that, you need to do your research on what NFTs are and how the blockchain works. Yeah. It's as easy as going online and searching up, but mainly most of the time you can find documentation on the technologies on the sites that you'd use. But if you want to buy NFTs, a good way to find out about NFT projects is to participate in the culture. So check out the hashtags, hashtag NFT community, hashtag NFTs, hashtag Web3, hashtag good morning, and engage with people in the community, because usually those are the guys that give you insight on which projects to invest in. Mm-hmm. But again, do your research, and do your research. You have to overemphasize your research because that's very important. Otherwise, you put yourself to risk with specific things that happen in the NFT space. I mean, there are a lot of rug pulls, and it's not the safest of spaces yet, given that we're still building the Web3 environment, but research. And then if you've kind of done your research, the best place to start is to obviously, when doing your research, checking the roadmap of the projects that you want to invest in. So check what they're promising. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But you just want to make sure that you invest in the right projects. Make sure that the people behind the projects have identified who they are. In the NFT space, we say it's called being doxed, okay. DOXXED. So make sure all your guys are doxed and you know who's behind the project, what their history is, what their background is before making any investments. Because it's a very volatile investment. So
yeah, I would just add on to that. So besides it being volatile, it's also very illiquid. So, like if you got Ether and you want to sell it, you can sell it immediately. With an NFT, it's not always so easy. You have to kind of sell it for below like the going rate if you want to sell it quickly. So you really need to make sure that I would actually say in the beginning, don't think of it as an investment, and rather think about it as collecting and being part of the culture. And then maybe later on, once you kind of understood what's going on in the space and you've kind of bought a bunch of things that went to nothing and you kind of understand the risks, then maybe start playing with money that's like a little bit more meaningful to you. But yes, I would be very careful. I saw a stat the other day saying that I think it's less than 1% of people who've bought NFTs have made a profit over 2 Ether or something like that. So, it's very easy to kind of end up losing some money, but it's a lot of fun. So, so just be sure that you kind of like set your budgets into like ranges that you feel comfortable with.
Okay. Do we have any questions in the crowd? My eyes are bad. Do we see any hands?
Just another thing I wanted to mention. Also, just an add-on, it's like we're adding on to whatever we're saying right now. There are also projects that do free mints. and free NFTs, so those are interesting to check out. But you wouldn't know about it unless you're actively participating. So a starter pack for someone who wants to get into the NFT space as a collector, get good at using Twitter and get good at using Discord. Also be prepared to spend a lot of time behind screens because you want to check what's going to drop next and what's good. But in general, it's more about, participating in the culture again, making sure that you've got that. Then as someone who creates NFTs, first you need to understand what it is you're trying to create. The technology itself is great, but you need to have, a roadmap of your own. Because at the end of the day, we're using the technology to tap into other spaces in the world and share what we know with other people or share our art as artists. So you're utilizing the technology to either render a service or offer a product at the end of the day. And as someone who's creating the NFT, you need to think about how using blockchain technology would be beneficial to you with your project, as opposed to just saying, oh, well, I want to mint an NFT, let's mint an NFT. Otherwise, that's not going to be successful.
Okay.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, I think on my part, it's looking at people. If we're going to reach out to people, I think we must change a lot of things, right? I think there are great artists out there who might not even know what an NFT is, right? So how do we speak to them? How do we make them understand that this is what it's about, right? I think it's good that we are in this world where we use a lot of nice terms and jargons and all these other things. But if we reached out in a certain way and say, if you're part of this, this is how it could actually change your life, and you would actually get into this. You can actually be a creator, or you can be somebody that collects NFTs and does this, but this is what it means exactly. So I think for a lot of musicians in Africa, look, to be very realistic, Africa is very wide and very broad, right? Consists of so many countries. Some countries great, some countries not so great. Some countries have access to internet, some countries do not have, but I think there's one thing that Africa has. And what Africa has is creativity. It's creativity in music, it's creativity in art. Go anywhere in Africa, you find a piece of art, whether it's from wood, stone, metal, you name it. Somebody has created something. And because they do not have access, not only access, they do not have the knowledge, and they don't know how to get out there. I always say something, almost everybody's on Facebook, believe it or not. Whether it's in a village, on a small phone, blurry pictures, they are on Facebook. That's why Facebook has a lot of users, right? And it's the same concept that we can use to say, look, you can learn something new. You don't have to travel out of Africa to showcase your art to the world, but maybe they might not just understand what we talk about. So I think for those that are trying to get in, and for those that are in, like reach out more to the people that we need to bring on and speak to them in a language that they'll understand. And you see the whole space is just going to have a very different landscape. Very, very, very different landscape. I'll give an experience when we're doing our pilot project for social good in Zambia. You found a woman, doesn't know anything about crypto, doesn't know anything about blockchain, put her in a classroom, show her just something and tell her, look, you need this, and I think more than 30% of the people don't have smartphones. The next day, the very same woman brings her daughter with a smartphone and says, I want to download the wallet. And secondly, she brings 40 other people, vendors from the streets, I want them to learn. I might not fully understand, but I understand it's going to change my life. So I think art is a big part of who we are as Africans. And I believe we should do a little bit more than what we're doing right now, especially when it comes to NFTs.
Thank you so much. So I believe we have 1 minute left. And so really, in summary and based on a lot of the research I've done, there's a rich pot of artists on the African continent, and a lot of my reading leads to the fact that the market for art may not be there, or the ability to create that community around the artwork may not be there. So the big call to action would be, if you are interested in making NFTs more accessible and usable, on the continent or in South Africa, please reach out, whether it's on LinkedIn. Maybe LinkedIn is a good place to reach out to me, and maybe we could start a little community to say, how do we start enabling more people to get into the space? And then what are the parts that are currently missing in terms of the marketing skills or the curation skills or whatever other skills may be missing? And how do we bring those together to actually enable more artists in this space? So thank you so much for being part of this panel. We totally
Thank you.
appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, let's hear it for the panel. Thank you very much. Anushka, Craig, Yaliwe, Jan Hendrik, Viljoen, and of course, Stephen Young. Thank you so much.